with
that was just for my benefit. That
no, we should have got all that. That was all fascinating. So.
Well, I remember doing all this in the garage 5 or 6 years ago, going to Kona, and then literally still just completely falling apart in the heat.
So I remember completely not doing all of that, going to Kona more than 10 years ago and falling apart. So
yeah. I think.
I mean, it's amazing how environment can impact on performance. And then crucially, it's amazing how acclimatization, we call it acclimation if it's not actually in the environment, but acclimatization, how important that is to enhance performance. And yet we still have athletes who don't do it. And you think to yourself, actually, the elite athletes do it. But to my mind, if you're going to Kona and you're paying £2,500 for flights, you're paying $2,000 for hotel accommodation, and you're not being paid to do it, then it's probably more important for the non-elites to actually do the acclimatization than it is for the elites. Yeah. So to my mind, it's one of those things. It's really important that people look after themselves, both from a performance perspective, but obviously from a health perspective, because they are incredibly dangerous environments.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. I'll take that on board, I think, if we ever get there this year. So, okay, so we'll by way of a very, very quick introduction, we've already had one session with you guys. Everybody who's watched it was fascinated hearing Greg, yourself and James talk about some of your sporting experience. And since then, quite a few of us have been trying the U-Perform product, and Phil and I have been taking this for a couple of months now. Quite a few of the athletes have started taking it. And also we've had quite a few people asking more technical questions. And this is why we've set up this second session that we can almost, I think you guys know the questions anyway. So rather than us pose the questions, the idea is that we hand over to the two founders of the company with the experience on the medical and the technical side with James, and let you almost run through the whys and what's of, why we would look at this type of product and what the benefits are. And then it probably just answers some of those questions that we've had from people. I'll just hand over to you two guys then, if that's okay.
That's great. Just ask away. We'll try and answer everything we can.
James, you're on mute there.
Unmute. Oh, there we go. I'm back with you.
Better.
There we go. So I think what we need to do is probably start with the misconception that most people have about the word collagen, because I don't know about many people watching, but when I first heard the word, before I actually had a chance to talk to Greg all those years ago, I'd heard the word collagen, and the immediate thing that sprung to mind was TV presenters, Hollywood A-listers, film stars injecting themselves to fill lines and wrinkles and or skin cream. That's what my perception back in 2002 of collagen was all about. And I think, the thing that people don't understand is that what collagen is and the role of collagen in the human body. And then, so when we actually understand the actual role of collagen, where it's found, what it does, and how abundant it is in the human body, then it all starts to make sense. So if I sort of kick off with the role of collagen, then Greg can elaborate on its functionality in the body. So collagen, primary structural protein, is the most abundant protein found in the human body. And literally, it's pretty much everywhere. So we hear about it all the time in the beauty industry for the skin. And what we understand is that actually the skin's collagen, we're talking about almost 90% of the naturally occurring protein in the skin is collagen, which is is all.
James, has he gone on mute?
Yeah, James.
There we go. I've unmuted myself again. I don't know what's going on, guys. So
it's about 15 seconds, maybe.
15 seconds. Okay, so I'll just recap. Where we find collagen in the human body. So we know about it in the beauty industry. So we know about the skin collagen, which is predominantly a type 1 collagen. And this is the immature collagen that's formed on a regular daily basis. And we look at the skin and we understand that up to 90% of the skin's natural protein is collagen, as I say, predominantly type 1, reoccurring, regrowing. But if we look deeper into the body, where we're really concerned from a performance point of view, we need to understand the role of collagen in the ligaments, tendons, cartilage. So if we're looking at connective tissue, soft and soft muscle fibers, we're looking somewhere between 40 up to a massive 60% of the naturally occurring protein in our connective tissue is collagen. So a breakdown percentage of collagen in this connective tissue leaves us prone to injury and also slows down recovery. If we're looking at joints, because obviously as we like to live longer and more to the point, be more active for a lot longer. I mean, Greg and myself, you know, we've got something like 102 years between us, and we're still incredibly active. Sorry, Greg, obviously you're 30.
Exactly, yeah.
But, you know, we are still incredibly active, and the wear and tear on the body is really significant. But, you know, that takes its toll on joints. So if we look at cartilage, for example, we need to understand that about 50% of the naturally occurring protein in cartilage is actually collagen. So, you know, it's a huge and a very abundant protein that is absolutely essential for functionality in the human body. And as we get older, it starts to deplete. So, and what the science is sort of pointing us in the direction is that once the body becomes fully grown, and that's somewhere between the age of 20 and 25, depending on individuals, everyone, you know, results vary because we're all different. But the natural speed of production of the collagen protein internally in our body just starts to slow down. It literally dwindles. And what we see, because of the continued wear and tear of the body and the slowing down of production, we see a sort of a net loss of collagen being stored by the body of somewhere between 1 and 1.5%. More active you are, potentially the bigger the breakdown. So as early as 30 years old, you have a potential loss of already 15% of your body's store of collagen. And that continues throughout life. And I think the significant thing for us, can't actually tell how many ladies are watching us today, but the significant impact really occurs for ladies around the age of 50, 51, which is the menopausal period of life, when the actual loss of collagen during that period, that 4 or 5 year period, can accelerate up to 4 times faster than the normal aging, the normal depletion of collagen. So it's understanding the role of collagen as the structural glue and the function of it, which Greg can go into a little bit more depth in a minute, where it's occurring pretty much everywhere. And, you know, we don't have absolute specific qualification of the amount of collagen of the protein of the bone, but it's significant. But your ligaments, tendons, cartilage, 40 up to 60% of your naturally occurring protein, and then your joints, 50%. So taking all that into account, it's really crucial, I think, to maintain collagen levels in your body.
Good coverage, mate.
Greg, talk
nice.
to me a little bit more about the function of collagen actually in the body.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, if we take it back just a step from there, because I think one of the questions that people often ask, you know, the key issue that you and I have both spent sort of a lifetime talking about is this idea of quality, and also about the fact that YouPerform is developed, which is science-based and evidence-led. And I think one of the questions that often comes up is about supplements, collagen supplements. I mean, you know, can they get inside and can they go to the point of action? And I think the one thing that's really important to remember is that collagen peptides are easily digested in dietary supplements. I mean, in general, the high biologic availability of peptides is based on what we call the low molecular weight and its lack of crosslinks. It's a bit technical, but effectively it just means it passes through the gut relatively simply. And certainly what we do know from studies, preclinical and human studies from a whole host of different places, is that what they show is that what you can do is you can tag these, if you can tag just about anything, but what you can do is you can tag the collagen. You can see where it moves to when you ingest it. And what that shows is that the collagen peptides are almost completely resorbed after oral intake, after you've consumed them. And that a considerable portion of that accumulates in the tissue structures. So I think that, that's a really important thing, because collagen is important, yes. What James has articulated beautifully is the fact that we see a falling level of collagen with age, and that is then accelerated in a whole variety of different environments, but menopause is one of those. But actually with arduous training, what we see is a higher protein turnover. So we know it's falling. We know what it is, and that's collagen. The question is, can we do anything about it? Well, actually, with the right collagen supplement, and I'll let James talk to this, is that getting the right collagen supplement is absolutely crucial. He's mentioned type 1, but getting the right type to focus on what we are trying to achieve from it. We can do that through supplementation. The low molecular weight and lack of crosslinks means that it's readily absorbed, and it's also taken to the site of action. And so therefore, we know it's important, we know it's reducing, and we know that by taking it orally in terms of supplements, we can actually target where the loss is greatest. And then I guess the key around that is making sure that what we've done with YouPerform, and I'll let James elaborate on this, is making sure that what you are taking is the right collagen. We can talk about this sort of extensively around protein. Lots of us know that protein in the diet is really important. And actually it's leucine, which is critically important for muscle turnover, for example. Well, getting the right collagen is absolutely crucial as well. So I'll leave that one with you, Jimbo.
Yeah, I think molecular weight, that's a good question, first of all. So molecular weight is measured in Dalton. And what we know about all the different types of collagen hydrolysate available in the market is they all vary in their Daltons, their molecular weight, somewhere between 2,000 and 5,000. What we know about the higher grades of collagen peptides that we use in YouPerform is that they are of that lower entity. They're nearer to the 2,000 Daltons. So the molecular weight is lower. And as you say, we've got evidence, and there is evidence on the website, so please do go and read it, that when we radioactively tag this peptide in the scientific studies, we can see this collagen peptide passing through the blood, passing through the entire system. Now, what we've done is looked much more in depth. I mean, there's collagen brands out there on the market, and they all have they all predominantly have one collagen peptide in there, and that's it. And that's where it starts, and that's where it stops. Most of the collagen brands out there on the market are only in the beauty industry. And they tend to revolve around fish collagen, which is a really interesting position. They're going after the mass market because they're making it more available for vegetarians or vegans to a point, especially pescatarian. But actually, that's not where the science is. The science is all about looking at the different collagen peptides and where the different types of collagen actually occur in the skin. So, we talked about the skin being type 1 collagen, and that's predominantly the collagen that is replaced on a really fast daily basis. And that's the immature collagen fibers, predominantly we see in the skin, because the skin turnover, as we first referred to it, is every 28 days. Actually, we replace all our natural skin cells. So it's a very high turnover collagen. Whereas if we look at type 3 collagen, that's what you find more in your muscles, in your ligaments, and in your tendon. This is a slower collagen turnover. And what we're using in the combinations of collagen with YouPerform is a cross section. So we've got type 1, which is regenerating the collagen in the body and actually clinically proven to help speed up that collagen production. And one of the problems we have, as I mentioned at the top of the event tonight, is that collagen production slows down with age. So what actually we want to do is we want to look at a diet, a nutritional program, and obviously collagen supplementation that actually supports the body to speed up collagen production. And that's the role of Verisol B. And we put the Verisol B in the active gels. And the reason for that, you get the added benefit of the skin, the smooth skin, the hydration skin, reduction of fine lines and wrinkles, improvement in skin elasticity. And these are all independent Federation Supplement Europe claims. That's the European body of beauty claims. And you get that with just 2,500 milligrams of Verisol B ingested per day. We actually go past that. We actually go up to 3,000 milligrams of Verisol B in the actual gels. So you're getting that active benefit. We're not actually putting the Verisol B in there for the skin benefit. We're putting it in because it's also got clinical evidence that shows that it improves the natural production of collagen as a protein in the body by some 65% after it's been ingested for a 2-month period. So what we're addressing is actually the process of collagen production internally and speeding it up. The type 3 collagen you also find in Verisol as well. But the other collagens we're using, so we're using Tenderfort, which you'll find in the proteins and in the tablets. And that's predominantly a type 2 collagen. And that's what you predominantly find in your cartilage. So if you're worried a bit about wear and tear, you're a slightly older athlete who's starting to feel a bit of joint pain and it's predominantly in your joints, then you need to be looking at the Fortigel there. And that's a peptide that's been targeted and it's been altered for that collagen peptide to be slightly shorter and be very much targeted towards the joint health. Then you got your Tenderfort collagen. So that's the third type of collagen we use. And once again, you'll find that with the Verisol B in the active gels. And the Tenderfort has some really nice new evidence that's it's one of the newer collagen peptides on the market. And that's really focused on soft tissue. So your ligaments and your tendons and especially your muscles. And that's the one we really find that the evidence is there from the Australian Institute of Sport and looking at Achilles tendinopathy and that type of thing, and an improved repair of soft tissue and muscular repair. So we're looking at what we can do. We're addressing the different types of collagen. What's the function of the collagen? Where's it found in the body? The short chain peptides that boost the different amino acids to optimize the performance of the muscle, ligament, tendon recovery, and stimulate collagen production in the body. I hope that's not too technical. Does anybody have any specific questions on that type of thing?
I think you went into quite a bit of detail there. So, I mean, yeah, more detail than almost I think most people would be digging into, James. That's fantastic. Thanks. Yeah.
Cool. No problem. Best time to take collagen. That's a really good one. I'll pass that over to Greg.
Okay, I mean, it's always an interesting one. I mean, and sort of the debate is out. I mean, I guess if we consider that collagen is a protein, if we think sort of more globally about protein and what we do know, I mean, what's interesting is that rate of decline of 1% per year is actually replicated in whole body protein. So once we move past the sort of age of the mid-30s, we start to see this decline in muscle mass. For men, that's linked with this thing called somatopause, where we get a reduction in growth hormone and testosterone. And for women, that is accelerated at menopause. And so globally, what we need to do is we need to, one of two things, okay? And I think this is really important actually when we talk about collagen, is that what we need to do is we need to stimulate turnover on one side. And so therefore, from an athletic training perspective, what that means is we have to work on muscle mass. So strength training, power training is absolutely fundamental in order to actually increase that turnover. The same is true within tendons and ligaments, is that if you've got Achilles tendinopathy, just taking collagen is not going to be the key solution to you. You have to stress the Achilles tendon through dedicated strength training on that Achilles, concomitant at the same time as taking the collagen to ensure or to optimize that recovery. And so in terms of that, the key question that often comes is, when do you take that protein? Now, to some extent, the jury is somewhat out, but I'll give you my interpretation of all of the data. Effectively, most of the data points at the immediate post-exercise being the most important time to ingest protein. And what we're talking about there is that circa 30-minute window post-exercise, because at that point, what we've done is we've disrupted the protein, the muscle, the tendon, the ligament, and at the same time, what we've done is we've upregulated that turnover process. So it's at that point really where we need to look at. Now, there are some studies which suggest you should take it before exercise, some that say you should take it during exercise, and indeed there are some really nice recent studies which show that actually if you take it before you go to bed, our classic hot cocoa made with milk before you go to bed, in geriatric, in old populations, that seems to improve protein turnover. But I think for us, from an athletic perspective, most of the data points towards this immediate 30-minute window post-exercise. And now, of course, what we all know on this call, and anybody listening, is that when you've finished a brutal session, the last thing you want to do is sit down for a steak, or sit down for solid food. Number one, just the practicalities of actually preparing that solid food. But I think number two is actually about the palatability. You just simply don't feel like eating. And so what has happened then is that has led to the evolution of protein supplements. And those protein supplements come in multiple different forms. They come in, to my mind, the most easily palatable are the gels and the fluids. And obviously, and so for us at UPerform, what we do is we produce both of those. So we've got the gels, which are to some extent incredibly practical. You can chuck it in your kit bag as soon as you finish the session. You just tear the top and take it down. And also with the protein powder, we've actually got collagen in our protein powder, which is again leucine linked, so it's whey protein. And of course, with that as well, what you get is you get the concomitant benefit of rehydration. To my mind, you should mix it with milk. You can mix it with water without any problem, but with milk, you get the addition of a multitude of micronutrients, things like vitamins and minerals along with that, as well as the hydration. So I think a very long answer to a very simple question. and the answer to that is really, it's the immediate post-exercise, which appears to be the most beneficial when it comes to protein turnover and protein resynthesis.
I'm going to add a little bit more to that, just to take into another question, if that's all right. And let's talk about the amount of collagen you can actually ingest during the day, because that's quite key as well. Most people are fully aware of the amount of protein you need during the day, but the latest research on how much protein can be collagen per day, and that's really quite interesting, because if we just look at some of the athletes out in Tokyo today, we've got about, I think, somewhere between 10 and 15 either British or Irish athletes out in Tokyo at the moment who are using UPerform. And then there's a couple of French pent athletes as well, but we won't mention the names in case they win it. But it's really interesting. So the guidelines for across the industry is quite interesting. So the evidence and the clinical evidence, the proved clinical evidence and results, 2,500 milligrams of Verisol B. That's not very much, to be honest with you. That will, over a 30-day period, because I'm answering two questions here, how quickly you see results and how much, over a 30-day period, has got European Beauty Authority sign-off that says it will tighten skin elasticity, improvement in skin elasticity of 15% in first 30 days using 2,500 milligrams of Verisol B. That's a claim that we can make on Verisol B, and it's the only grade of collagen in the world has that approved beauty claim. 56 days on the same dose, 2,500 milligrams a day, results in a reduction in the total volume of lines and wrinkles measured on the face in 56 days. So that's a 20.1% reduction in the total volume of lines and wrinkles. Now, these are aesthetic claims and as approved aesthetic science, which we can put in papers, you can broadcast it all over the television or whatever you want to do. In the gels, you've got 3,000. So we're going over and above, 20% over and above the clinical dose there. Plus you've got that 5,000 milligrams of the tender thought in there as well. What we look at is body mass. So 2,500 milligrams is great for a beauty claim, and you're going to get beauty benefits. And if you take it long enough, you will get some connective tissue improvement and so on and so forth. 5,000 milligrams really and truly, in my opinion, is where it starts to be beneficial from a muscular recovery level, and you start to see the benefits. You'll notice the benefits starting to build in the body as quick as 14, even 20 days. Pure and simply, and the early side effects you'll notice, I call them side effects, they are positive, is things like your skin improving, your nails growing faster, your hair growing faster, and potentially even thicker, around about 15 to 20 days, especially if you're at the larger doses, 5,000 milligrams plus. We've set the gels at 8,000 milligrams of the Verisol B and the tender thought, purely and simply because that combines two clinical study dosages of different collagen peptides, and the result of that, it's quite a significant dose. So that's really starting to get on there. You can go over that, and I personally do regularly. I got up to 15,000 milligrams of collagen a day, depending on whether I'm nursing a niggle, training really hard and doing some real smash sessions. At the moment, I'm a month away from the world championships in my sport, in biathlon, triathlon, pentathlon. So my racing distance is quite short and sweet compared to you guys, at 1,200 meters, then 100 meter swim, then 1,200 meters. So my intensity is very, very high. I'm running lots of 200s on the track, at basically maximal effort. So because I'm breaking muscle fibers down regularly and frequently, I'm going higher. So 8,000 to 15,000 milligrams, 8 to 15 grams of collagen per day ingested. But my body weight is 68K. So it's one of those questions of how much protein do I need in my diet on a daily basis? So what is your body mass? Also, you've got to cross-section that against your age. So if you work on the basic math of your age minus 20, because that's when you start losing collagen from, roughly speaking. So if you're 50 years old, that's 30 years of collagen depletion of about 1.5% per year. That gives you roughly how much collagen you've lost in your body since the age of 20. And then it is a case of you got to rebuild that a bit. So, it's that's sort of trying to address a couple of questions there. How much do you need? When do you need it? The great thing is you can't overdose on it, but over about 15 grams a day, the body doesn't really require it as the source of protein. It looks for other sources of protein.
That was nice.
So I do listen to you, Whitey.
Well, just to reiterate that, really, I think what you kicked off with, absolutely the right thing, and that is that it is about timing, it's about type, and it's about quantity. And I think when we talk about generally, we talk about protein. In the general population, we sort of recommend 0.8 grams per kilogram body weight. So we generally tend to scale it to body mass. And so generally in the general population, non-athletic is about 0.8. What we do recommend is almost double that for athletic populations at 1.5 grams per kilogram body mass per day. But crucially, and I think what's really important about this to remember is that what we are trying to avoid is a big bolus, a big sort of single ingestion of protein. That should be spread across the entire day, and that should include breakfast. So it's not just about lunch and dinner. It should include breakfast when we generally talk about protein. And then, of course, what we are then doing is we've got these targeted supplementations. And those targeted supplementations are at that point immediately post-exercise. And of course, what underpins all of this, to my mind, is something that we are absolutely proud of, but we work incredibly hard at UPerform, and that is about quality. And so the quality of collagen is absolutely crucial. You know, the underlying, if you want to know how good a supplement is, just check the price. If it's cheap, you know what you're getting, and you aren't getting what it says on the tin, generally. So I think, you know, I think around all of those, timing, the type and the quantity are absolutely crucial, and make sure what you're doing is investing in quality product that, you know, when it says it on the tin, it's actually inside it.
I think that's one of the things we're very, very proud of for our products, our collagen products, is that they are all LGC tested. It means a lot to us, because even though we might not be going to the games, as I said earlier, there's about 10 to 15 athletes in Tokyo using UPerform, and they include judo players. I mean, if anyone wants to follow these people, like Ben Fletcher, a really incredible story. He started off as Team Great Britain, and then moved, had a falling out with Team GB because of them telling him where he had to live. Moved across to Team Ireland, and 147 days before the Olympics started, in a freak accident, he actually, in competition in Israel, he actually snapped his tibia and fibula. They flew him back. They got him into one of the London hospitals. They operated after 4 or 5 days, plated him up. And actually, if you go to Ben Fletcher Judo on Instagram, you can actually see a picture of his legs, the X-ray of his legs. Quite disturbing. Anyway, he picked up the phone to us immediately, because he supported athlete, told us what we need to do, and we literally, and this guy is a big guy. I mean, I'm not sure what weight he fights in, but he is significant, shall we say? And we literally took him right up to 15, even in some respect 20 grams of collagen a day, and we kept him there, and he has absolutely blown the doctors and physios away with his recovery. Absolutely amazing. Back into full training, and is competing in Tokyo. I'm not sure if it was yesterday he was competing. I haven't seen an update from him, but just given the fact that a snapped fibula and tibia 147 days before the Olympic Games are then coming back and actually making the Olympics, I think is testament to not only his coaches and his physios and his doctors, but also the fact that the collagen delivers. And one of the things that all these guys are really, really insistent on, and rightly so, is the fact that every single batch is LGC tested. So it's an informed sports tested product, and people at home can absolutely 100% trust it. And that's really important, whether you're Ben, or you're one of the 6 Great Britain modern pentathletes out in Tokyo, 4 of which are going to be competing, and that's great medal hopes. Or or you're an athlete, or one of our sponsored athletes is non-Stanford, and many of you know, has come through massive injuries and surgery not long ago, and unfortunately just very, very narrowly missed out on selection, but is still performing exceptionally well this year.
And actually, the guys that are watching this, you can go to the UPerform website, and we've recorded a number of podcasts with those guys, so Ben Fletcher and Non-Stanford, amongst others. So you can actually listen to their stories, and their stories are inspirational in terms of injury and return. It really is inspirational.
Guys, I've got a question. I'll just throw this at you. This is like properly grilling you, I suppose. And I suppose for everyone watching, this is like this is something we've spoken to you guys quite a lot about. I think, Chris, myself and Tony are all at an age where, we're definitely seeing that this could be beneficial to us. And actually, interestingly, one of our bike fitters was telling me you'll notice one of my questions was anecdotal evidence. He was telling me anecdotally, he's been on this about a month. This guy's had a calf injury for 18 months that doesn't matter what he tries, he can't shift it. Oh, guess what? It's gone away. Anyway, and like his first words were, even if this is a placebo, it doesn't matter to me, it's working. So I suppose my question is going down the lines of, our athletes are already well invested in the sport. They're being coached for starters. The kit costs a fortune. Massage costs money. Other supplementation costs money. Nutrition help costs money. Races cost money. Blah blah blah. And one thing I'm always doing is assessing where I'm getting a bang for my buck from in this sport. And over the years, I've probably taken too many supplements I didn't need to take because of one thing and another. And these days I'm a little bit older and wiser and know, just the basics I need to take. I'm not popping pills down my throat all the time. I have bought into this pretty well. I think based on the amount of training I'm doing at the moment and how long I've been taking this for, there's possibly a pretty good feeling at the moment. Again, doesn't matter to me whether that's something else or this, but the combination of everything I'm doing around my training seems to be working. So how do people, obviously knowing if you're going to take collagen, I think we're pretty clear on this call that you take high quality stuff from a company like yourself. It's not cheap, so what this is throwing one, the left field question at you. How do people toss up between what's important for them and to get the gains? And is there even a time of the year where taking more of this might be more beneficial? I noticed James mentioned with him breaking a lot of muscle down during very high intensity work. If we're using reverse periodization, would people take more of this, maybe the recovery and the gels during that period, and actually throughout highly aerobic periods, maybe just take a gel? Or I don't know. Anyway, lots of little questions there, but I'm sure you can.
Let me kick off on that one, because I think what's interesting. I mean, I was physiologist for the national triathlon squad for a number of years leading up into the 2000 games, and I've worked and triathlon I put very similar at that time as I do from my work in Formula One racing. And that was, I remember going to one particular team in Formula One, and I met with their human performance team, and their human performance team consisted of one part-time individual. Now, this is an elite Formula One racing team. Imagine how much money they're spending on their drivers. And then at the same time as meeting that one part-time individual, we went upstairs to take a look at their design team. And their design team, I mean, I didn't count them, but it was definitely over 250 people working on the design of the car. And and it was interesting because triathlon was very similar at the time. This is back in the sort of late 90s, was this idea that somehow it was the machine that mattered. And let's face it, it is ubiquitous in triathlon to this day. And that is that what you should do is spend 10 grand on a bike and you'll go much faster. And it was just, the same was true for F1 at the time. And now what you see in triathlon and in F1 is you now see human performance specialists whose job it is to optimize the pilot, optimize the athlete. And I think what you have to remember is, when we talk about investment, to my mind, when you're investing, you're absolutely right. Triathlon is a seriously expensive sport. And I think the advice that I always give to guys that I work with when it comes to triathlon is that what you have to do is invest in those things that are going to enhance performance. That's what matters. It doesn't matter what the name is down on the down tube of the bike if it doesn't make you go any faster. And in fact, if a cheaper bike with an unrecognizable name on it makes you go faster, that's the one you should buy. And I think the important thing is that what we should be changing our psyche to is actually investing in outcome instead of just investing in what we think is going to look prettier in the transition park. And we see it an awful lot. So I think number one, invest wisely. I think number two is we've probably got two groups of athletes here. One of those that we are talking about rehabilitation, and the others we're talking about prehabilitation. And I think that without any shadow of doubt, one of the things that I work on a continual basis with the guys that I work with is trying to reduce injury and illness. The big problem with injury and illness is that all of those gains that you've made through all of the hard training that you've done evaporate incredibly rapidly. I mean, really rapidly. Strength tends to be slightly slower than aerobic capacity, but aerobic capacity starts to fall within 7 days of cessation of training. So getting injured is a real issue. So I think that certainly making sure that when you are investing, when you are looking at supplementing, what you should be doing is looking at how you're going to prehabilitate, how you're going to reduce the risk of injury and illness. And I think that's really important. And then, of course, when you do get injured, and sadly, you know, with I'm sure lots of people on this call and guys that we talk to, is as we get older, the one thing that really is limited or becomes limited is our recovery. And you know, James and I will tell you all about this, but I'm sure plenty of people on this call can tell you that, is that compared to when we were junior athletes, you simply don't recover as rapidly. So when it comes to rehabilitation, again, what you should be doing is targeting those investments that are going to enhance that rehabilitation process. And that is going to be evidence-based and science-led. And I think underlying your question is a really important thing. And that is that we are absolutely awash with sports supplements. It's become the in vogue thing, and you've got to take everything. And I watch athletes and they rattle. They take so many supplements. And when you ask them why they're taking them, they have absolutely no idea. When you ask them what quality are they, no idea. When you ask them what's in it, no idea. And so again, I think it's about making sure that you follow the science and follow the evidence and make sure you're using a high quality product to ensure that you're delivering. And that targeted investment, what that means is by investing, you are saving money. And I think that's really the way to look at something like collagen.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, because I come across so many people who look at our whey and collagen protein and say, well, it's 900 grams and it's £30. Oh, that's too expensive for me. And I go, okay, so explain to me what you're using. And I buy something from Holland and Barrett or Sainsbury's or what have you, and it says 100% protein. And I'm like, right, have you read the back panel, or have you actually challenged the brand? And what you do is you challenge the brand, and you know, there's, I mean, I'm not going to name names, but it's a very, very, very commonly, well, possibly the biggest protein in the world at the moment in time. And actually, they put 100% protein on their label, but actually it's a 20% concentrate. And so in every 100 grams, you're getting 20 grams of protein. The rest of it is filler, binder, sugar, what have you. And this is the problem with the industry, because it's unregulated. Whereas if you look at the YouPerform products, you know, you can read on the back that our protein is an 80% concentrate. And then actually, if you look at the quality of the protein that is coming from the filter gel, it's 96% protein. And the key thing about this is its bioavailability, because of the molecular weight. Those very, very low molecular weight of 2000 Daltons in the filter gel means it is very, very easily absorbed. And as Greg said, you know, eating a steak may taste nice with a nice glass of red wine on special occasions or even every night. But you know, steak is only 23-24% protein, of which the body's only actually going to absorb about 20%. So you're getting 4-5% protein from it. So it's a very, very low uptake of protein. And this is the problem with many other supplements on the market. And you get what you pay for in sports nutrition. It's as simple as that. If you're paying peanuts, if you're paying 10, 15 pounds for a bag of protein, a kilogram or even 2 kilograms of protein, you're getting the dust from the floor. And that is pretty much it. And that's actually putting it nicely.
Yeah, I think look, that was like a really good, clean answer there, that, you know, this is about investing in yourself and not all the shiny kit. And it's like about going back to basics with your training, isn't it? You know, there's no point buying a 10 grand bike if you've just missed 3 bike sessions that week. So, you know, and how many times have we seen that happen? So yeah, you know, you are actually the most important machine, aren't you? And if you're looking after that right, so you know, and I think I was talking to Tony about it yesterday. I think most our athletes watching this, whether tonight or on recording, you know, I think what we're trying to do here is like open their eyes to something for them to go away and make up their own mind, aren't we? And you know, see if it fits into their repertoire of what they need. And I suppose that question was about making them go away and think about what it is you're investing in, you know, and that could be, you know, they could just reassess everything they're spending money on and rejuggle those finances to probably make some good gains, really. So yeah.
Just to reiterate there, I think, you know, what you guys do is absolutely central to that. You know, the best investment an athlete will ever make is in coaching. And let me say quality coaching, because you know, it continues to surprise me that I see athletes who bulk at what coaches charge, which is minuscule in comparison to what they will spend on shiny kit. And so I think everybody on this call, all of your guys, have actually taken the right step in understanding that what you need to have is quality coaching. Alongside that quality coaching comes the education piece. And then, as you quite rightly say, that education then drives informative decision making. And that drives making sure that your investment goes in the right place, which is making you go faster.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm just aware we are getting more questions in here, so we don't want to go on all night. There was Phil and I have both asked, I think, the same one, which is, and I've got a view on this actually, having taken it, but I'll let you guys answer, is that how long before you really start to notice it, under the normal dosage? So for me, I've been taking the gel once a day and I've been taking the protein collagen mix after, not every session, after what I would consider a hard session. So, you know, any decent hard runs, bike rides or bricks, maybe I've been taking that 3 or 4 times a week, something like that. So what sort of time scale? I mean, this is very difficult to pin someone down for an answer there, but what do you think on that one?
It really does depend on the individual, Tony. But what I would say and what I'd ask you is, are you starting to see the noticeable side effects with what I call the extremities? That's the telltale sign of collagen starting to build in your body. Now, obviously, you know, one of the big factors we talk about is age. You know, so the older you are, the longer it's going to take to rebuild your collagens to a significant level in your body, because it takes a period of time to stimulate new collagen production internally and likewise build it up. But the telltale signs that you'll notice as individuals taking a really good grade of collagen hydrolysate are things like your nails starting to grow faster and stronger. Ladies obviously love that type of thing, but actually even guys, you know, you'll notice that you're having to cut your nails just a little bit more often. Maybe it's a case that you go to the hairdressers a little bit more often because your hair follicles. Now, although hair is not collagen, it's keratin. If you look at the amino acid profile of keratin and you look at the amino acid profile of collagen, it's not dissimilar. About 14 amino acids actually cross over quite nicely. So your hair is getting a natural feed effectively and becomes much stronger and healthier. And there's lots of evidence, especially with Verisol B, that it can increase hair follicle diameter by up to 11%. That's one of the beauty claims we have on Verisol B. But these are the noticeable side effects that you're starting to see the positive benefits of taking collagen. And those positive benefits can be as early as 15 to 30 days. Now that's sort of the noticeable side effects, because everyone's going to see the benefits. The individual benefits of people with injury or muscular strain or repetitive stress injury and all these different things and depending on how long the injury's been there, it's going to take a longer period of time to build the collagen levels up. So you look for individuals who are starting out on maybe our subscription program or starting off buying products. look for the early signs that actually the collagen's becoming functional in the body. And that's the hair, the skin, the nails. Because remember, we talked about that being type 1 collagen, and skin turnover, skin cycle, as we call it, is 28 days. Not many people realize that. They understand a snake gets rid of its entire layers of skin in one go, but they don't realize that actually dermal and epidermal skin cell turnover is complete in 28 days. We just don't do it in one go. We have something called dead skin cells. So we see that first skin cycle in 28 days. That's where you see the first early signs of building the collagen. 2 months in, that's when you can really see the positive sign, the fine lines and wrinkles becoming much lighter. Really and truly, my experience with athletes, we're looking anywhere between the 1 month and the 6 month periods to really start to optimize that performance and that recovery. And it's a massive window, because people tend to turn to us when they're injured. They don't realize that actually taking collagen over a period of time and building the collagen in the body can potentially prevent the injury, because the muscle is stronger, the actual structural protein is more robust. So people at the moment, we're seeing this very much so, that people go, I'm injured, I need collagen. Whereas what you should be doing is saying, right, I'm a slightly older athlete, and I'm going to clarify that, over 30. Thus, I need to build up the structural protein in my body on a maintenance dose to actually prevent those niggles starting to occur in the first place. So that's sort of your timelines.
Yeah, and it's just interesting. You made me think there, and I think I had some benefit without noticing it. It's more that when you don't, I suddenly wasn't aware of something. So, I mean, without boring people, I've had, fairly long-term Achilles tendinopathy. I'd had a lot of treatment on it, and I got it to the point where I would just now and again be aware of something after long, hard runs. Not painful, but I just knew it. I could just sense something. And someone asked, it was actually a couple of days after Ironman UK, and we were having this conversation, someone saying, does it work? And can you notice anything? And it was only when someone asked me, I realized that, wait a minute, I've just done a marathon at Bolton in that race. And normally after that, I would be feeling my heel for probably quite a few days, actually. I would just be, not massively painful, just an awareness that I'm going to have to nurse that for a while now. I'm going to have to be careful what to do with it. And it was just when someone asked the question that the light bulb went on, and it was, oh, wait a minute, I'm not aware of that heel thing. So, and that was probably about 2.5 months after taking it. So from my point of view, I think I have noticed that something has changed there. And it was a very specific, would I call it an injury? No, it was an early stage kind of possibility of an injury that seems to have subsided. So,
and that just to reiterate that, I mean, what's the number of studies, because this is a really new product, but I think the number of studies that are out there, what they tend to point towards is somewhere circa 12 weeks with injury. Now, what James is saying is absolutely right, is that there is a spectrum along which, if you're from absolute 100% health all the way through to injured, but generally you are looking at somewhere in the region of about 12 weeks, 3 months before you start to see any real change in that. For example, Achilles tendinopathy is a classic example of that. There are some studies looking at ankle stability following ankle injury. So it is, yeah. So I think the point being made, I think, is that if you are injured, it's just going to take that a little bit longer. But certainly you should start to see improvements in some of those peripheral factors with a view to about 12 weeks being where you see significant improvements in the injury.
Yeah, great stuff. Thanks. I think we've just got one last question there from Dave, just the one about the, if we are taking the Uperform collagen, would you still be looking at things like the glucosamine and the chondroitin?
Okay, that's a really interesting one, because I actually answered this one earlier to my neighbor who had put their dog on a dog supplement and they showed me the dog supplement and they went, what do you reckon? And I said, okay, so let's have a look at what's in it. Glucosamine, chondroitin, MSM, green lip muscle, you know, and it's understanding the function. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, before you say anything bad, it's changed my dog's life.
Yeah, there we go.
Sure
Now, the key thing here is actually understanding what these particular ingredients do and what they're responsible for. So if we look at glucosamine and chondroitin, one's a natural occurring sugar in the joint, and one is responsible for elasticity within the actual cartilage itself. And if we're looking at things like your MSM, which is organic sulfur, why do we put that into a supplement? Well, quite simply, the bone is a sulfur. We are sulfur-based beings, effectively. So you've got organic sulfur in the bone. So these all have a role to play. One's you know, you've got your glucosamine is basically working as your anti-inflammatory. So will you get benefit from them? Yes. What's the duration of time? Well, some of the experts I've talked to on glucosamine itself to say, well, it's up to 12 months before you see the benefit of the anti-inflammatory benefits. The chondroitin, likewise, the elasticity, it can take a very long duration, and it's working around the joint health, which is great. But none of those are actually addressing the structural protein. And that's the key. The structural protein is collagen, and you will not get the benefits from chondroitin or glucosamine or MSM or green lip muscle or any of the others that you'll get from collagen, because they're not structural proteins and the amino acid profile is different.
Yeah,
but they have a role to play.
That's a great, concise answer. I mean, case in point is James and I, we designed a supplement called Osteo Plus. I think probably what you have to remember is that we're talking about probably two different structures anyway here. You're talking about joint versus connective tissue. We know that with things like hyaluronic acid, for example, which I haven't mentioned yet, but glucosamine, is that what they're doing is fundamentally focused on the joint rather than the connective tissue. So to some extent that they're operating on different structures. Can you take them simultaneously? Yes, you can. I'll just go back to my original point, and that is the key question is that there should be an indication. Why are you taking it? What are you trying to achieve? And once you understand that, what you then do is pick the right supplement.
Mm-hmm.
Superb. Yeah. Thanks very much. I think, guys, that's been very, very comprehensive, that, and has definitely covered all of the questions that I've been asked from my athletes and people that I've spoken to, and probably you, Phil, as well. So we'll get the recording out to everybody. For all our athletes as well, we'll put our discount codes on there. From my point of view, I'm like I say, I'm just about 3 months in, and I'm personally convinced that I'm going to carry on doing this. And I think you said the same, Phil, haven't you? So
just dead simply, going back to the nails thing, there is no doubt I am cutting my nails more often.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been through periods like people know I did some big stupid long bike ride last year. My hair stopped growing, my nails stopped growing. You know, it shows under huge, you know, when you are putting yourself under that kind of strain, those things. So, you know, I am actually training ridiculously hard, probably harder actually the last few weeks than I think I've ever managed. And my nails are growing like crazy. I see that as a positive. So
I think that whole line about prehabilitation as well is super. When I think back to my period of the very worst Achilles problems, I would literally, there was times when I would have given and paid anything to make that go away, because in my own, you know, world of training, it was stopping me doing what I wanted to do. And you get to a point where you think you'd do anything to solve this. So now that it's gone away, I'm very, very keen to keep it and that kind of thing.
I'm sure it stays away.
It's a damn sight cheaper to prevent injury than it is to go curing it as well.
For sure,
isn't it? So
no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Thanks very much again, guys. I really appreciate the time there, and know how busy you both are. So that's superb to talk to you.
It's great. And just for the viewers, if you head over to the YouPerform website, a lot of this technical data is on the website. along with those podcasts that we spoke about. And actually what you can do is you can come through that and ask questions anyway. We're here to help. That's the key to it. So thanks for having us on, guys. It's been a great chat.
Brilliant.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, guys. I'm going to stop this recording.
Good evening.
Take care, guys.
Meet you guys soon. Have a good one.